I've talked before about the importance of speaking logically and clearly, and that is important. But I've been thinking about it more deeply, and I've realized something. Being able to speak logically is really just the surface. It's the visible part. What really matters is what's underneath, the logical mindset itself. You can train yourself to say the right things. You can learn to structure your sentences clearly. But if your underlying thinking is still messy, unfocused, and undisciplined, that clarity will eventually fall apart. The real skill is developing a logical mindset. That's the foundation. Because once you have that, once logical thinking becomes your default, you can apply it consistently across every part of your life. It's not just about what you say. It's about how you think. It's about how you process the world. And I've noticed something interesting. A pattern. A small, everyday thing that might seem insignificant, but actually reveals a lot about how someone's mind works. Ever notice that some people do their shopping in one big haul, loading up the fridge and freezer with everything they might need for days or even weeks? And then, when it comes time to cook, they only see what's right in front of them. They grab whatever is most accessible, whatever is easiest, whatever catches their eye first. They completely forget about the stuff at the back of the fridge, the things they bought just a few days ago, the things that are sitting there waiting to be used. And the result? Those forgotten items sit there. They get pushed further back. They expire. They rot. And eventually, they get thrown out. It's waste, plain and simple. Not just waste of food, but waste of money, waste of effort, waste of planning. Now, I know what some people might think. It's no big deal. The food doesn't cost that much. It's just a few things. And I understand that perspective. Everyone has their own way of doing things. And I'm not here to judge anyone's personal habits. But here's what I've come to realize. It's exactly these so-called small things that reflect bigger things about you. How you handle the small, everyday decisions, the ones that don't seem to matter, reveals how you'll handle the bigger ones. If you can't pause and think logically about what's in your fridge, how can you pause and think logically about a difficult conversation, a work project, or a life decision? The habit of logical thinking is built in the small moments. It's trained in the mundane. That's why I'm paying attention to these small things. Not because I care about the food itself, but because I care about what the food reveals. If you want to develop a logical mindset, you have to start by paying attention to these small, everyday decisions. That's where the training happens. That's where the habit is formed. Let me give you a real example. A concrete one. I had some fresh meat in the fridge. It was approaching its expiry date, not expired yet, but close. I also had some fish in the freezer, which was completely fine. Fish stays good in the freezer for a long time. No urgency there. And I noticed my friend cooking the fish. He had taken it out of the freezer, prepared it, and was about to cook it. Even though the fresh meat was sitting there, approaching expiry, and we had been eating fish for several days already. Now, to me, this is a clear example of a lack of logical thinking. Not because there's anything inherently wrong with cooking fish, but because of the context, the timing, the priorities, the bigger picture. If you stop and think about it, the logical approach would be simple. First, you'd check the expiry dates on everything in the fridge. Second, you'd identify what needs to be used first, what's about to go bad. Third, you'd plan your meals around that priority list. The fresh meat should have been cooked first. The fish could have waited. It was frozen. It wasn't going to spoil anytime soon. And even if this friend really, truly loves fish, even then, the logical thing to do would be to finish the fresh meat first and then enjoy the fish afterward. Or at least alternate. It's not about denying yourself something you enjoy. It's about being smart about the order in which you do things. It's about using what you have before it becomes unusable. I honestly don't think this was about preference. I think it was about autopilot, about not stopping to think, about not considering the bigger picture, about not pausing to ask, what should I prioritize? What makes the most sense right now? And this is worth paying attention to because I recognize that I might do something similar. I might go through my days without thinking things through properly. I might make decisions based on what's easiest or most visible, rather than what's most logical or sensible. I might grab whatever is in front of me without checking what's behind it. I might operate on autopilot when I should be operating consciously. And that lack of conscious processing, that autopilot mode, is exactly what leads to waste, inefficiency, and missed opportunities. It's not just about food in the fridge. It's about decisions in life. It's about the ability to stop, assess, and choose the most logical course of action, even when the choice seems small. So I'm going to start paying more attention to these small moments. The fridge, the expiry dates, the everyday decisions that seem trivial but actually reveal how I'm thinking. Because if I can train myself to pause and think logically in these small situations, that habit will carry over to bigger decisions. It will show up in conversations. It will show up at work. It will show up in relationships. It will show up everywhere. Small things reflect big things. And the small things are where the training happens.